Deputy Mayor Lowry. Councilmember Feller. Councilmember Kern.
Here.
City Council will be meeting in closed session to discuss item 2 on the agenda, conference of legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Lipton versus Palpant et al., case number 37-2016-9016. There's no meeting on item 1.
He is a little shy, so it takes a little bit to kind of pick him up again. They're prey animals, so they want to run from you. But kind of once in your arms, he gives you a few little squeaks, and they can be a lot of fun, and they're a lot of fun for kids as well. Just keep in mind, they need all the hay they can eat, lots of greens, and lots of vitamin C. So his adoption fee is just $25. Also, if you're not a guinea pig fan and you have dogs, we have our Halloween mutt mixer coming up next Friday at our Airport Road location. That's where you dress your dog up, you bring them, we give you free photos, you get some behavior tips, and that's a lot of fun. And then we also, for those cat people in here, we are doing Meowga this Sunday at Shanty Kitty Yoga in Oceanside. So for a donation, you can go do yoga with a couple of kittens at 4 o'clock. So you can check that out on our website to get more details. So we hope to see you somewhere. Thanks.
Yoga for kitties. Oh, people with kitties. Oh.
Next, we have a proclamation for National Diversity Awareness Month. Would the following individuals from the North County LGBTQ Resource Center please come forward when I call your name? Max Disposti, Executive Director. Shannon Rose, Pride by the Beach Director. Carolyn Bolton, Chair of the Board. And I'd also like to ask any other members of the LGBTQ Resource Center who are present this evening to please come forward and join them in the circle.
Okay, well, welcome. This bunch of people really has helped our community be more considerate and compassionate of our larger community. It's really a difficult situation when people are prejudiced against or abused just because they're not the same as all the rest of us. So that's something that I'm completely proud of in our city, and the city of Oceanside received a 97% out of 100 possible points. Okay, yeah, we're looking for more this year. So anyway, Max.
I'm going to read this proclamation real quick.
Yes, I think that will help.
Proclamation in honor of National Diversity Awareness Month, October 2017. Whereas the month of October has been designated as National Diversity Awareness Month throughout our country and by the City of Oceanside, California, having deep roots in our country's history. And whereas the City of Oceanside is a multicultural, diverse community comprised of residents and visitors who come from all walks of life and from all over the world. And whereas the City of Oceanside promotes a respectful and inclusive environment where all diversities are welcomed, included, and celebrated. And whereas the North County LGBTQ Resource Center in Oceanside has been an advocate for equality on behalf of our LGBTQ families and community, and a leader in bringing awareness, education, and resources to individuals and their families. And whereas the North County LGBTQ Resource Center has hosted the annual Pride by the Beach celebration event for 10 years, to be held this year on October 14th during the week of National Coming Out Day. And whereas in 2016, the City of Oceanside achieved a 99% ranking out of 353 cities nationwide in the Human Rights Campaign Municipality Equality Index, and is striving for a 100% ranking in 2017 based on the advocacy and full collaboration of the LGBTQ Resource Center and city officials. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Deputy Mayor Chuck Lowry, from the City of Oceanside, California, do hereby declare the month of October 2017 as Oceanside Diversity Awareness Month, and do welcome and encourage the North San Diego County community and all LGBTQ families and individuals to enjoy the inclusive Oceanside LGBTQ Pride events of October 14th in celebration of our diversities and equality, issued this 4th day of October 2017.
I just got an announcement that was whispered in my ear that the center has received a 100% award.
Yeah,
That's
your
awesome.
secret, but
Yeah. Now it's public. Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. A few words. Thank you, Debbie, for the long read here, and also the support of the council members, Esther Sanchez, also our city manager, everybody else, and definitely our deputy mayor as well. About Pride, this is the 10th year, and our Pride director, Buddy Beach, Shannon Rose, is right here. Pride is a program of the LGBT Center, and every year has been a fun event to do. It's an opportunity to put a lot of youth and families together. By choice, we make a dry Pride, that means no alcohol, and so that our kids and family can fully enjoy the event and have fun. A little particular things this year, besides the day of, which we are doing Pride from 11 to 5 p.m. on October 14, on Saturday. We're dedicating this Pride this year to our transgender active duty service members here in Camp Pendleton. As you know, unfortunately, the news of their family being banned from serving started working through Camp Pendleton. We have several transgender active duty military right now struggling with that decision. Their families had to move. Their careers are going to be stopped. These are people that serve our community, the community of Oceanside, for many, many years. I met chiefs, I met captains, I met people that are leading hundreds of folks to war each year that now are considered less than able to serve for our services. So I think as a city of Oceanside, we owe them an incredible thank you for all the work they've done, and I hope we can all stand by them in these hard days coming ahead, because Pride is also about this, making sure that we don't leave anyone behind. So we support our troops, but all of them, not just some of them. So I thank you. I thank you for coming, and thank you for all the support you gave us throughout the years, and we're looking forward to see you all next Saturday on October 14th. Thank you. Dan, you want to say something?
Just a real quick thank you again. Thank you to the City of Oceanside, council members, Deputy Mayor Chuck Lowry. This really means a lot to us in the community. Thank you. The City of Oceanside has been so supportive of Pride every year, and like I said, I can't say thank you enough.
The event is Pride near the beach, and it's going to be right out here on Pier View, right next to City Hall, Civic Center. It's by the beach? We moved by?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but it's right here. Next. Where are you going to be? Across the street? Oh, yeah, Civic Center. Yeah, thank you.
Our next proclamation is Fire Safety Week. Would the following members of the Oceanside Fire Department please come forward? Deputy Chief Bill Kogerman, Public Education Coordinator Linda McLaughlin, and I'd also like to invite all present members of the Fire Department prevention staff to please come forward into the circle. Thank you.
heard there was going to be a demonstration fire here that was going to be put out, and Ron was going to do it. Stop, drop, and rock, yeah. Okay, so Debbie?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Proclamation in honor of Fire Prevention Week, October 8th through 14th, 2017. Whereas the City of Oceanside is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our community, and whereas U.S. fire departments responded to 365,500 home fires in 2015, according to the National Fire Protection Association, with home fires resulting in 2,560 civilian deaths, representing the majority of all U.S. fire deaths. And whereas newer homes are built with lightweight materials that burn faster than older homes, with many of today's products and furnishings producing toxic gases and smoke when burned, making it impossible to see and breathe within moments, and contributing to a much smaller window of time for people to escape a home fire safely. And whereas a home fire escape plan provides the skill set to quickly and safely escape a home fire situation and includes the following recommendations: 2 exits from every room in the home, a path to the outside from each exit, smoke alarms in all required locations, and a meeting place outside where everyone in the home will meet upon exiting. And whereas the 2017 Fire Prevention Week theme, "Every Second Counts, Plan 2 Ways Out," effectively serves to educate the public about the vital importance of developing a home fire escape plan with all members of the household and practicing it twice a year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Chuck Lowry, Deputy Mayor of the City of Oceanside, California, do hereby proclaim October 8th through 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week in our community. Furthermore, I encourage all of our citizens to participate in the many public safety activities and efforts of Oceanside's fire and emergency services during Fire Prevention Week, issued this 4th day of October, 2017.
We're going to hear some thoughtful words, and then we're going to pass it around. Thank you.
Well, as the second guinea pig of the night, I'll say just a few words here. This is the fire prevention staff here for the fire department, and while we honor our firefighters and such a needed service here in Oceanside, before there is ever a fire, before there is ever any sort of emergency or 911 activation, it's the people that you see up here that are out in the buildings doing the code enforcement, reducing the risk of fire, property loss of life. So truly a tribute to the folks, my staff up here. Thank you very much for what you do every day. These are also lifesavers in their efforts in preventing fire from the beginning. So thank you again for everything that you folks do every day. You are truly an honor to work with, so thank you very much. And some brief words from our public education specialist. This is Linda McLaughlin, and she's one of our coordinators for our open house at Fire Station 7 on October 21st. So thank you, Linda.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. We really appreciate your support. And again, as Chief Kokerman said, we are having an open house, and we want you all to come. It's on October 21st from 9 to 2 at our station number 7. The address is 3350 Mission Avenue. It's that big station on Mission. You all can come and learn about how you can help prevent fires in your own house. Not only prevent them, but put them out if you have a small fire. We'll teach you how to do these skills. We'll also have some shows for you, too. Some demonstrations, some wonderful demonstrations on extrications from cars using the jaws of life. If you've never seen one of our helicopters land, we have 2 helicopters within the city. The Reach helicopter and the Mercy helicopter will both do a landing during that day. We have some firefighters who are going to do some demonstrations, like the demonstrating how to use a fire hose. And if you'd like to ever try that, this is an opportunity for you to try it. Lots of fun that day, lots of important people there. There'll be resources such as NOAA, a representative from the San Diego County Emergency Services will be there. So come on down and bring all your friends and family between 9 and 2 on the 21st. Hope to see you there.
I want to acknowledge that Fire Chief Robinson is here, and that he does a great job keeping all these people in order. And I also saw Chief of Police Frank over here on the side. So thank you for coming.
Okay, I'll go ahead and give a closed session report now. The council met earlier to discuss item 2 on the closed session agenda, Conference of Legal Counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Lipton et al. Versus Palpant et al., case number 37, 2016, 00009016. There's no action under the Brown Act to report on item 2A. Council did not meet on item 1.
All right, Deputy Mayor, with consent calendar items, we have 4 through 8, 10 through 16. Item number 9 has been pulled from the consent calendar by staff.
9?
Move approval. For
No,
balance.
no public on this item?
Okay.
Please vote.
Yes, thank you.
Motion approved, 4-0. Item number 17 is adoption of a resolution appropriating $1 million in road maintenance and rehabilitation account funds provided by Senate Bill SB 1 to be held in City Gas Tax Fund 213 and approving the city's project list of additional streets to be slurry sealed for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, council members. Gary Kellison with the Engineering Division. The item before you is, frankly, it's a joy to bring it to you. The state legislature, in its wisdom, has passed a historic law called SB 1, which grants cities across the state a significant amount of money for addressing our road infrastructure needs. There are a few caveats. The item asks cities to approve by resolution or as a part of its normal capital improvement program budget a specific list of projects or single project to be funded with each year's allocation of SB 1 funds. The funds are sourced from gas tax or vehicle registration fees and distributed to cities on a monthly basis according to the actual revenues. Oceanside will begin to get its first draw this January, and in this fiscal year, the draw should total about $1 million. Staff recommends using the first-year program to address an existing backlog in the city's slurry seal program. This is a program that's very cost-effective in terms of protecting our streets, and it also addresses a need in that our existing transit funds are limited in the amount of funds we can use for direct maintenance of streets. So that's a useful backfill of our neighborhood street maintenance needs. It's a program we can complete and then have some high visibility and success for. The Staff again requests that the City Council adopt the resolution appropriating $1 million in road maintenance and rehabilitation account funds provided by Senate Bill 1 to be held in the City Gas Tax Fund 213, and approving the city's project list of additional funds for FY 2017 and 18. And staff will be forwarding the list upon approval to the state. I'll be over here if there are any questions.
Great. No public on this item.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. Another $1 million in your back pocket, huh, Gary? For slurry. It's fantastic. So move adoption. Thank you.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0. Item number 18 is fourth quarter and year ending June 30th, 2017 financial status report.
You had to wave around.
Honorable Deputy Mayor and Council Members, Jane McPherson, Financial Services Director. I'm here tonight to present the fourth quarter and year-ending preliminary results for 6/30/2017. We're submitting this report and recommending approval of the quarter budget adjustments and transfers. There's some good news this year. Our revenues, we had budgeted, our amended budget was $139,075,000. We came in at, excuse me, $146,636 million, an increase of 105%. Well, we were 105% of budget, so 5%. Here's what changed and caused the increase over budget. Property tax came in at 106% of budget, sales tax at 101%, and transient occupancy tax, it was 117% of budget. Expenditures, good news, departments did well in controlling the general fund expenditures, only spent 99% of the amended budget. My recommendation is that City Council approve the fourth quarter budget adjustments and transfers. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you.
We have one speaker on this item, Jimmy Knott.
Deputy Mayor, Council Members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. Once again, looking over the budget and also listening to some of the staff, I think it's time for us to start looking into the future. Some of the staff, especially lead staff and also economists nationwide, are sort of getting shaky with some of these figures. And they're thinking, okay, we got good times, but do we have enough preserved for a potential downturn? Also, when we're looking ahead for things like we want to have, like as an example, a pool over at El Corazon, there's not enough money for the maintenance and staffing. And so I think it would be wise to start looking at things with impacts, like potential half-cent sale tax or things like that. What would be the impact of such things? I know that there is a survey going on with the public, but I think actual figures would be more useful to the public than projected ones based on if, and, ors, and buts. If we could take some of the figures, that a lot of our figures are based upon that there, and show the public saying, this is what we can use, this is what we can do. I think that this would reassure, and they can say, okay, well, if we have this surplus, can we use it over here? Or do we take and use it in other places? This is choices that you have to help the public make. So I don't take and want to be in your shoes, but you have to make them. Thank you.
No further public on this item.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. Mr. Knott brings up some very important issues in terms of planning for our future. And our city manager's office is, and finance department, I should say, staff are looking into the potential for a tax. We have a certain level of quality of life that we have been able to provide our residents, even through tough times when we ended up laying off over 100 employees. We've really just hunkered down to make it the best city at the most that we can support. So these are things that are coming forward at this time. What we have is a budget with some adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and move approval. I think that staff is really looking towards, the bottom line, the bottom dollar, and going forward, I believe they are going to be bringing forward some recommendations, and hopefully our community together will be able to come together to decide how best we will continue to provide a quality of life for all of us. Thank you.
Second.
So, Director McPherson, I have a question around the presentation in general. The numbers went up pretty quickly, and you and I met to discuss this. But tell us how a number of 105, what that really means. And when you look at it, you see that there's a number changed, and what does that mean?
What that means is that we had anticipated to come in at obviously 5% less than we did. And then what you have to understand is what drove those numbers. The major drivers were the appraised values jumped to over 6.5% of all the properties, the houses especially. That was unexpected in some ways, that you couldn't have done it when we did our forecast originally. Also, TOT continues to be an item that we are going after, the Airbnb addresses, and making sure that we can get everyone who is using the vacation rental to pay. We also were very successful in permitting because of the amount of building that's going on here in the city.
So in our meeting, you mentioned that the city had been researching operations that were Airbnb or short-term vacation rentals, and that because we've identified who many of these operations are, and we are legally entitled to collect occupancy tax from them, we received an increase in revenues from that also.
That is correct. Also contributing to the increase in TOT is that hotel rates overall have gone up, and overall occupancy of those existing hotels. So it's a combination effort of identifying the addresses for the Airbnb, which attributed about $400,000 additional revenue this year. And that will only improve in the future, but also we had the increase of hotel rates and occupancy.
So this is a direct result of the build out of some of these lots that are down here closer to the ocean, and some of our other newer hotels and the existing ones. So we have a revenue stream from that that's actually producing income for the city.
That is correct.
And that helps us pay for all the different city services we have, like police and fire and other infrastructure needs.
Yes, we need to count on that to continue to be able to fund not only current operations, but as our PERS and other expenses go up, to be able to pay those operational costs.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Please vote. Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, which item would you like to go to next?
Yeah, council member items. Any council member items?
There are no council member items on the agenda.
Yes, 24. You can go to 24.
Would you like to move to adopting the ordinance?
Item 24 is the adoption of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Article 12 of the Downtown Zoning Ordinance to incorporate multifamily residential development by right within Subdistrict 13.
No public on this item?
Move approval. Second. This is the second reading of the item. We've already had discussion on this, and now we are confirming that we do or don't want to approve this.
Correct. For this item and the next item, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 3-1.
Okay, I'll move on to item 25. That is the adoption of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 37 of the Oceanside City Code by adding Section 37.34.1, billing practices for compound meters.
No public on this item?
Councilmember Sanchez.
I'll move adoption.
Second.
Please vote. Motion approved, 4-0. Off-agenda items? Yes. This time we'll go to off-agenda items. I'll call you two at a time. First, we have Dennis Martinick, followed by Jimmy Knott.
Good evening, council members. My name is Dennis Martinick. I'm on the Planning Commission. I'm also a member of a group that's been recently formed called SOAR, and SOAR stands for Save Open Space and Agricultural Resources. I've worked over the past few months with people throughout the state who have also had SOAR initiatives. They've turned out to be very positive, and this is something that we're moving forward with in this community, in the city of Oceanside. We feel that the citizens of Oceanside have the right to vote on proposed changes to its parks, rivers, golf courses, open space, and farmland. The change to the city's general plan that we propose is the right to vote instead of leaving it to 3 council members. This voters' rights initiative allows citizens the opportunity to reduce sprawl, reduce traffic, reduce taxes, and reduce pollution by encouraging development consistent with smart growth. Now, I understand that 2 of the council members have already misrepresented what SOAR is about at meetings they attended yesterday. And Mr. Kern, I understand that you attended a meeting and said that it would not allow for agritourism. You're either misinformed or you're misrepresenting what SOAR is to your constituents. And Mr. Lowry, I understand you said the plan will bankrupt farmers and keep open space for 30 years. Well, the initiative is only for 20 years. So apparently you haven't read it. And it does encourage farmers and encourage farming business by encouraging agritourism. Since you are misinformed, let me read the summary from our city attorney. The title is an initiative measure amending the land use element of the Oceanside General Plan to require voter approval of proposals to change the land use designation or zoning of agricultural or open space land to any other use. This is a 3-page initiative. It's very simple. The main purposes are to establish a mechanism that provides for direct citizen participation in land use decisions affecting the city of Oceanside's general plan policies as they relate to agriculture and open space, and to minimize sprawl, reduce transportation costs, and preserve open space and farmland. The initiative, in the analysis that the city attorney did, proposes to amend the general plan to allow agritourism. It's very simple. It doesn't inhibit it, it allows it. And we will be pushing for it. Farmers should have a right to, we have a winery across the street from my house, and other uses that are consistent with agricultural uses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. First off, I want to thank you for your earlier vote today with the Mayor Wood, and just want to say thank you very much on that. I think that it is a win for any disabled person in our community, including our elderly. But I purposely stayed away in regards to that because of an incident that the mayor did with myself, being I had a subdural hematoma and he removed me from the Utilities Commission. I didn't want to say anything that would be negative, and that's why you did not see me earlier. I wanted to get that out of the way. But also I want to take and ask you to consider, aside from that, what other cities and to our county do. And that is look at the future of the mayorship in our city and to see if we should follow whether or not that we should plan for a 5th district in the future and that we should rotate the mayorship. We should look at the benefits and deficits of that and have a public discourse over that. I think that would be worthwhile because I see in other communities a definite benefit in some regards and less contention on their councils. So if you can start thinking about that as we take and implement our districts as they are established, I think that would take and behoove our whole community. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Gloria Ryan and Sam Humid.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Gloria Ryan, 92054. This is a past statement I actually gave to Council before the repeal. I believe Oceanside has the potential hard components to be the model city for the medical cannabis industry and can be effectively create safe access, clean products, education, career opportunities, city growth, and do this all under state guidelines. But I believe before this can happen, all involved in this goal need to take a deep breath, step back and see the whole forest, strive to listen actively and with an open mind, openly debate issues, with the intention of the main goal being our guiding force, commit to the process. Since making this statement to the council, I became the patient advocate for our ad hoc committee. Our ad hoc committee, city staff, attorney, planning, and many other city departments, members of the professional cannabis industry, and parts of our community have done just that, which you will be reviewing in the near future. The unfortunate and frustrating part of this process has been the lack of input on the opposing side, and we have asked time and time again to give suggestions on how they felt and what regulations they felt were best with no response. Being opposed should never mean not being involved and staying in the process. Please stay opposed, but do not be the force that will put our city at risk by not engaging. Please stay opposed, but do not be a barrier for the Oceanside Police, Fire, and first responders to be a part of our process due to political discord. Please stay opposed, but reconsider if your personal beliefs or gain is worth putting the community and medicinal patients at risk. We as a community need to watch over one another, not walk over one another, so I ask, even plead, please look within. Tell your people, family, and friends you are opposed, but it's happening. It's here in Oceanside. That you will be a part of ensuring a safe access program that other cities can model after by working with our plan designed by our city, ad hoc committee, and other concerned citizens of Oceanside. Again, opposition is not what we fear. We know what's at hand. We do not want outside interests to take over our city. We are a community. We can do this as a team and together. So please, again, look within your hearts and ask if personal should get in the way of our community's safety, or if political gain should get in the way. Our motto is patience before profit, safety before sales. Thank you.
Hello, Council. Believe it or not, I'm actually not here about the marijuana issue at all. You all know where I stand on it. I'm not here for the marijuana issue. You all know where I stand on it, and I hope that we can make something great happen with that. I'm actually here because I live right up the street in the East Capistrano district, and every night I go driving around going various places. I almost run into a child on a bicycle without any lights on. No taillight, no headlight, no helmet, no nothing. I would very much like to see the city council make an ordinance to mandate that bicycles be illuminated at night. And I don't want to put anybody that's fiscally challenged to have to spend more money on what they have to spend on lights for a bicycle. So I propose a public safety subcommittee, and that we could use maybe the next National Night Out as our platform to get every bicycle in Oceanside illuminated, especially for the people who use the bicycle as their official mode of transportation. A $10 headlight, taillight combination is significantly cheaper than a $7,000 funeral. That's just my opinion. All right, thanks, guys.
Could you state your name,
Oh, yeah,
please?
sorry, Sam Humid.
Our next two speakers are Diane Nygaard and Lisa Hamilton.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, council members. I'm Diane Nygaard. 20 years ago, my husband and I moved here to Oceanside because we knew we had found the perfect retirement community, and we have loved living here every day since then. I believe all of the people who are part of the SOAR initiative are part of that effort because they truly love Oceanside, the rich diversity of our community, the wonderful resources that we have from the coast to the rolling hills at Morro Hills. Our open space and ag land are part of the fabric of this community. And the initiative process is part of the heart of our democracy. It's simply a way for the people to say, this is something we care about, and we ask you to join us in caring about it as well. And so we hope that everybody in this community, as they learn the details of what's involved with this very simple initiative to protect our open space and ag land, will join us in saying, let's all soar Oceanside together. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Lisa Hamilton, 323 South Ditmar. It is hard to imagine anything that could bring together the followers of Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders and also populist movements around the world. But there is something. It is the question of public participation in the public process. The unifying complaint is that those in positions of power do not listen to the public who put them there. They say they do, but in fact we have a number of occasions on which the public has expressed its feeling against something in the council, or in other situations the government has gone right ahead and done what it wanted to, and that enrages the public and makes the public feel it's hardly worth participating. One of the situations which the council has pulled back from, but only partially so, is the question of North River Farms out on North River Road. The proposal came for 800 houses on agricultural land zoned for 2.5 acres. The people's representatives, the Planning Commission, who serve as volunteers, turned thumbs down on this project. City staff also turned thumbs down on this project. And the council, in considering it, did say, well, North River Farms, integral, the developer, go back and redo your project. And as I understand it, it's now been cut down from 800 houses to 600 houses. Nonetheless, this is going to require an enormous investment in infrastructure, which Integral is not planning to make. They're going to do a lovely front entrance, but they will still have to deal with a very narrow two-lane road. That means the city will have to pick up the tab for this. That's everybody in the city, not just Integral, not just the people who live out there. This is not a homeowners association tab. This is going to be a tab for the city of Oceanside. SOAR will help prevent this kind of project from even coming to the council without a great deal of other thought behind it and participation in the cost of the infrastructure by the developers who will be making money out of it. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Victor Roy and Dana Corso.
Oh, good evening, Honorable Council, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for moving the off-agenda items up in the proceedings, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. On behalf of Oceanside SOAR, I want to point out it is a nonprofit, grassroots effort by the citizens of Oceanside to step up and be more proactive in protecting our open space and agricultural resources. We expect an overwhelming support for this initiative throughout the community. What does this mean? This will require the vote of Oceanside citizens before City Council can change the city's general plan sections that pertain to open space and agriculture. Pardon me. The benefits are to reduce urban sprawl and promote smart growth, reduce future taxes. There's a requirement would be $1 billion and up in order to improve upgrade the infrastructure for the Morrill Hills farmland area, 3,200 contiguous acres, which would include building a fire station dedicated for them, a water treatment sewer plant for them, and a bridge to accommodate all the traffic in and out if it eventually gets built out with 10,000 homes. And it's converting septic into sewers, roads, and all the major infrastructure. Second benefit is reduce greenhouse gases by reducing traffic and restricting housing projects while protecting agriculture. Third benefit is to promote agritourism, which supports our local farmers and our local economy. This initiative we want on the ballot for the voters to vote. It's to move to the vote of the citizens instead of a three-council majority to change zoning for open space and agriculture land. So it's direct citizen participation in land use decisions as they relate to agriculture and open space, and it's only set for 20 years. Help give Oceanside citizens the right to vote now before urban sprawl is allowed to gobble up all of our farmlands and open space. Thank you.
The city attorney is going to respond to some of these statements because he has the actual data up here.
This obviously is not on the agenda, so we're not going to debate it, but I just wanted to make one point. There's a reference, I think, with the first speaker that I had prepared an analysis of this initiative, and maybe it's just nomenclature, but I did not prepare an analysis. That would come later. I prepared a ballot title and summary, which is what I'm required to do under the law. I did not prepare any kind of analysis. If it got the required number of votes, then the council could direct me to do an impartial analysis, and we do it at that time. Secondly, there is a confusion over the 30 years versus 20 years. I believe Mr. Martinick referenced the fact that the initiative only says 20 years, and that's true. Buried in the initiative, it does say 20 years. but he also filed a document called analysis with the petition that says that it applies for 30 years. It gave a date of December 31st, 2047. I think that document was a draft impartial analysis that he suggested that I adopt later. And I don't believe the council was advised, but this document was withdrawn by the proponents of the petition. So that may account for the misunderstanding between 30 versus 20 years.
So in other words, it's 20.
It's 20. Now, that analysis was withdrawn, which
Right.
said 30.
Right, 20.
Ms. Corso.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. My name is Dana Corso, and I'm the president of Action, representing 42 neighborhoods. Action was formed in 2010 when neighborhoods were not being heard by our then council majority. Action led the fight in 2012 to defeat Proposition E and F alongside Omaha, GSMOL, Mayor Wood, and Councilmember Sanchez. At that point, Mr. Lowry claimed to feel the same about protecting mobile home parks and neighborhoods. But unfortunately, Mr. Lowry is now led by the out-of-town developers, Integral, and his out-of-town aide, Don Green, whom all have sided against this. And the Planning Commission, the city staff, the entire the Planning Department, the Chambers of Commerce, Action, and many, many more. He is now supporting Kern and Mr. Feller and Integral developing high-density housing in South Morro Hills, our only agricultural area in Oceanside. Zoning currently is 2.5 acres per dwelling and has been that way for decades. Impacts to the roads, infrastructure, and traffic will not sustain high-density housing, which, by the way, Mayor Wood does not support this project. So in an effort to stop 3 council members from making decisions based on developers' money and their large campaign contributions, this initiative by SOAR, Saving Open Space Agricultural Resources, is effectively launched today. We are gathering signatures to put the decision to the voters and citizens of Oceanside, not Councilmember Lowry, Kern, and Feller. We would have expected this from Kern and Feller, but not Lowry. For more information or to get involved with this important initiative, attend Action's next meeting, which is this Sunday, October 8th at 2 p.m. at Rancho San Luis Rey. The address is right here on the form that I've left here on the dais. So thank you so much.
Our next two speakers are Michael Odegaard and Cindy Rocco.
Okay, can Cindy go first, please?
One more second.
I'm trying to get, this doesn't matter what happens.
Is it okay I switch out in the order, just switch the order of public speaker?
There's time for one more person, so whoever wants to go, then we'll bring it back after we get through our listed scheduled items.
Oh, okay.
We only go until 6, and it's 5:56 now.
Oh, okay. That'll be really, I'm just going to go ahead.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything fully prepared, but here's the thing is, I never knew we had Morro Hills out there, and I got a ride out there, and I just couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And I just thought, oh my God, this is amazing. And there's only, I don't know how many acres that are out there, but as far as remaining and keeping open space in the city, I think that's really important, especially for, you know, Mr. Feller, you always talk about the children in the future, and I think that we really need to preserve a certain amount of space and not have it be able to just be changed with land use changes. I think that for me, I believe in profitability and capitalism and getting the most from your money. I believe in property rights. I believe in running your own businesses, etc. But right now, what's happening is the core part of this is that we continue to go through and do all these land use changes. It almost is like every time there's a use that's brought up and we go ahead and we say, okay, we'll change it from this zoning to that zoning. You know, when I bought my house, it's R1 zoning. I didn't expect that I'd be able to open up, you know, commercial industry there. So I went in with an expectation. But it seems like right now with 3 votes, really, it's all it does take is that could be changed. You know, or I could be a hotel. I could, you know, but I went in knowing what I was buying. But yes, do I have the right to appeal and say, can I please do this? Absolutely. And I think that's what happened up in, what's triggering me here with Morro Hills is that is such precious land, and that's agricultural zoning and open space zoning come with certain uses. And the fact that when I went back and I looked into it more after speaking with Councilmember Kern, is that people can still run the small businesses on the land. People can build 1 house per 2.5 acres. So you go in and that's what you go into the deal knowing that you can do. So my thing, where I want to have a hotel on my R1 property, okay, well, we'll put that up to public debate, but to lose our open space and agricultural land that easily with a vote, it just makes no sense. So I think I back it because it puts the power back in the hands of the people to make the choice whether they want the choice to change the zoning. So I think I think it's really important that we step up and take into consideration that we can't just keep on changing land uses. It's just not good for the long term of the future of our town. And, you know, I knew I liked that Joni Mitchell song, but, you know, pave paradise, put up a parking lot, and it feels like that's where this could go. And I think it's time to rein it in. Thank you.
So we're going to move forward actually with public hearing items, and we'll return to comment on items not on the agenda after we finish the public hearing items. So with that being said, the remainder of you still turn in forms. I'll call you up after we go through the public hearing items. With that being the case, would you like to move forward? Item number 19, Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 19 is adoption of a resolution creating the Fire Mountain Drive Underground Utility District. And if you could open up the public hearing.
Open the public hearing.
And request
Disclosures.
Just staff.
Staff.
No contact.
Staff only.
All material has been provided to the council.
Thank you. Welcome back, I think. Yeah.
See if I
That's
can
not
fix
bad.
this.
I thought that was me.
Yeah. Water meter charge.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, council members. Again, Gary Kellison with the Engineering Division. The item here is a recommendation to approve a resolution creating the Fire Mountain Utility Undergrounding District. The district will extend along Fire Mountain Drive adjacent to the Eternal Hills Cemetery, roughly between Yucca and Via Esmarca. The background is back in 2013, the City Council granted the Eternal Hills Cemetery an extension on their use permit to allow them time to work with the city to improve their undergrounding requirement by extending 2 existing runs of overhead wires that extend into the neighborhood across from the cemetery, so that those could be undergrounded at the same time as the cemetery's obligation on their frontage. It took a bit for staff to obtain the necessary easement rights to reach some rear properties and also to complete the design so we know exactly how the project affects every single property owner within the district. So with that accomplished, staff recommends that the district as sort of a backup device that allows Eternal Hills and the city and the utility companies to be able to access homes to complete the home connections of the electric and cable telephone service after the lines along the street or between houses are already placed underground. So there's a final hookup that will occur at homes that aren't already undergrounded. As far as public noticing, staff has worked during this time with the individual homeowners that would have their houses converted to this service. They understand very thoroughly that there's no financial impact whatsoever to any homeowner other than Eternal Hills Cemetery, of course. And the city will complete the work with licensed contractors. The city sent individualized letters to each of the 17 property owners about 2 to 3 weeks ago, explaining how the work impacts their individual property. City clerk, also in compliance with the undergrounding ordinance, also notified the registered property owners with the ordinance and the proposed resolution. Staff has received no comments in response, which is, I would hope, just because they fully understand the explanation and are accepting of that. With approval of the resolution, staff will be working with Eternal Hills to draft a formal memorandum of understanding, or reimbursement agreement rather, outlining the exact cost share, and then bringing back a proposed construction contract for approval of the City Council. This should occur this spring. The project will require approximately a year to complete, and the final dropping of the overhead wires and pole removals would occur at the very end of the project, once all the underground work is in place and homes are ready to be reconnected. With that, staff requests approval of the attached resolution creating the Fire Mountain Drive Underground Utility District.
Very good, thank you.
Great. This is a public hearing item. Any members of the public who wish to speak on this specific item may come forward this time. Deputy Mayor, I see none.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. I understand
Close the
from the
public
report.
Oh, close the public hearing.
I understand from the report that all the homeowners were contacted and none were opposed to this. It's simply an access issue. The cost will be borne by, of course, SCI, which is the parent company of Eternal Hills, and city using funds through the utilities, the funds that we get for undergrounding. Is that correct, Gary?
Deputy Mayor Lowry, in answering Councilmember Sanchez's question, yes, the answer to both questions is yes. Not a single homeowner is actively opposing the district. Many are enthusiastically in support of the district.
I can imagine.
And there is absolutely no out-of-pocket cost to any homeowner or property owner.
Thank you. Then I go ahead and move adoption of the resolution. Thank you.
A second. Councilmember Kern.
Thank you. Gary, this map that you had up there, it seems a little odd that you'd start that some houses get skipped and some houses get included. So are these, like the ones on the corner, like 1801, 1802, so why are they not in it too? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, because it seems like if you ran a power line down that corridor, that all those houses along that corridor would be affected.
Deputy Mayor Lowry, in answer to Council members Kern's question, the houses that are roughly adjacent to Fire Mountain but not actually included on the district are houses that just have there's no reason to physically touch anything about that property. I mean, in other words, touching the property wasn't necessary to accomplish the district. There's, roughly speaking, going left to right, a large bow, a bulge going up That's the city reservoir property, where we have to run lines adjacent to a single-family residence in the far, I guess, northwest corner. Then moving along Fire Mountain, we have some homes that have poles in their frontage, and there's trenching, not necessarily in the yard, but in the street directly fronting the homes. Then a little farther along, there's a bulge with a triangular property. That is the first run of homeowner poles that reach that bottom large triangular property, and so all those homes need to be included to reach the end of that run. Then going along to the street in the middle, all the work is on the opposite side of the street, where the cemetery side, there's just no reason to touch that home, so that's why it was excluded. And finally, there's one more southerly bulge where we're removing a string of poles reaching the lower property.
So are these ones that are excluded, are they already getting underground power?
Yes, anybody that's excluded within the reach of the district or the immediate vicinity is already enjoys underground service. Now, if we went outside this immediate neighborhood, there's of course numerous older homes that have under overhead service, not underground, but then again, there has to be some reasonable limit to the size of the district, and so we stopped it at a logical boundary where it made sense.
Okay. All right, well, thanks. I just wanted to see why it was such an odd-shaped map. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like a district map.
Yeah. If I may, Deputy Mayor Lowry, we're just trying to follow pole runs, not necessarily house boundaries, and that's, in short, why it looks so unusual.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you.
Item number 20 is adoption of a resolution approving tentative parcel map, development plan, and regular coastal permit to allow the demolition of an existing single-family residence and enable the construction of a 3-story, 4-unit residential condominium complex located at 150 South Myers Street, 150 South Myers Street condominiums, applicant DZN Partners. And we open the public hearing. Disclosures and petitions.
Thank you. I've driven by the site and staff.
I've driven by the site also.
Staff only.
All material has been provided to the council. Scott.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the presentation here. If you can give me a second, we have an IT issue here. All right. Good evening. Honorable Deputy Mayor Lowry, council members, I'm Scott Nightingale, Senior Planner, here to present Agenda Item 20 for the adoption of a resolution approving a tentative parcel map, development plan, and regular coastal permit to allow the demolition of existing single-family residence to enable the construction of a 3-story, 4-unit condominium complex located at 150 South Myers Street. This image you're looking at is the proposed condominium complex, looking off of Myers. Like I said in the introduction, to enable the complex, they need to demo the single-family home. The site is 0.1 acres. Each of the 4 units will be 3 stories, First level will be dedicated to the parking area, which will be accessed off of Meyer Street through an automated swing gate. The units would range in size from 1,500 to 1,600 square feet, as depicted here. Each unit would range from 3 bedrooms to 3 baths, with some private open space balconies ranging from 400 to 500 square feet, and each unit here would have its own proposed 2 spaces within the parking garage. A little background, the project site is located, like I said, at 150 South Myers. It's within the non-appealable area jurisdiction of the local coastal program. The site is 4,500 square feet and exists with the 576 square foot residence. This project did go to the Downtown Advisory Committee back in July 26, where it was recommended for approval at a 5-2 vote. Here's an image of the actual site. The surrounding zoning here, which is Sub-District 5, which allows for single-family and multifamily uses. It's surrounded by all other single-family and multifamily uses in all directions, with the exception of the North County Transit District and the public parking lot just to the east. Here's an image of the existing home. Unfortunately, there has been some fire damage, so there's no occupancy at this time. As you can see, it's been boarded up. The home was constructed back in 1925. There was a historical analysis prepared on the property, which, per the analysis, states that there's no historical significance. Here's an image of the site plan. This is the ground level parking area, which would be accessed off of Meyer Street through the swing gate. Here's a little bit more of an image here. Portrays the landscaping. Each of the 4 units, like I said, will be 3 stories. First level dedicated to the parking off of Myers. As you can see here, it's kind of a mortar court type design. They would have an ample amount of room for turning, which has been approved by the Traffic and Transportation Division. The second level will be dedicated to the bedrooms and baths. Each unit would have 2 bedrooms at this level and 2 baths, and balcony space off each bedroom. Here's an image of the third level, which would be dedicated to the great room, dining area, 1 bedroom, and also an additional bathroom and added balcony space. And here's an image of the roof deck. Each unit would have its own roof deck, which would be accessed from an internal stairwell. One good thing about this project, we worked with the architect to ensure that they wouldn't have any protrusions or anything that would exceed the 35-foot height limit. So the stairwells are right at the 35-foot height. So there's no access penthouse elevator shafts or anything like that that exceeds the 35-foot height, which we see typically in the downtown. As you can see here, it's right at the 35-foot height limit. The proposed architecture is contemporary and craftsman mixture, which is consistent with many of the eclectic type designs in the neighborhood. Staff work with the architect to ensure that they would have differences in materials and colors, and also some facade articulations to have some relief in the bulk and scale of the project. When analyzing this project, staff reviewed the project based on the following. The project meets the general plan in terms of achieving a balance of residential land uses. It also provides a good transition between the existing high density and single family within the area. And the proposed residential use and number of units is compatible and appropriate for the area and the approved density for this specific zoning classification. And as conditioned, the project meets the required findings for development compatibility within the downtown zoning ordinance, and in addition, meets all local coastal program findings in terms of there will be no public coastal access impacts, nor will there be any public coastal view impacts or parking. So with that, staff recommends that the Community Development Commission confirm issuance of the CEQA exemption and adopt the project resolution approving the tentative parcel map, development plan, and regular coastal permit for the 4-unit condo complex. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
At this time, the applicant has time to provide testimony if they choose to do so.
Good evening, Council. I am the architect for the project, and I'm available for questions, but we don't have a formal presentation because we felt Scott's was adequate.
Great, thank you. This is a public hearing item. Any members of the public who wish to speak on this specific item may come forward at this time. Deputy Mayor Lowry, I see none. You can close the public hearing.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions for clarification. The vote was 5-2 with 2 members absent, so there were 2 opposed. Could you state what their opposition was?
Deputy Mayor and council members, Ms. Bachman expressed concerns with the architecture, particularly the windows, and she felt it was somewhat boxy. She also spoke of concerns that she thought there should be more street trees. Mr. Hankins was the other no vote, and my notes indicate he did not speak or indicate his reasons why.
Okay, thank you. And could you go back to the first slide, which basically shows the proposal in a visual? Because I wanted to make sure when you say that it's all fits in within the 35-foot, and I see that the rooftop deck has some solid walls, does that include the 35-foot includes all the way to the top of the solid walls?
Yeah, that's correct. Right up to the solid walls is the 35-foot threshold. So they're well within the requirement.
And in this area, it has never been at 27-foot. There's never been a change from 27 to 35.
No, that's only within the town side. All of downtown is residential is 35.
Okay. I guess I asked my question before the visual came up. I wouldn't mind seeing the visual one more time, though.
Looks like we're going to have to reset the
Okay,
computer.
I'm
so
remembering it
we
in
can
my
go back to
mind.
it. Okay.
But I just want to make that clear because I know that there were some concerns about going beyond the 10% and what constitutes 10%. So no livable space or anything beyond 35 foot. In fact, the deck is fully enclosed within the 35, fully included within the 35 foot. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. No habitable space or storage above the 35. Only
Okay.
the stairwell.
Thank you very much for making that happen. See, it can happen. It can happen. You know, you get people saying, "Oh no, we can't do this." This is. So thank you very much for showing that it can happen, and you can do a very nice quality project. Move adoption. Thank you.
Second. Councilmember Kern.
So, the idea, are these going to be for sale products, or is this, are you,
Moving in.
I guess, that's the question about the for sale. I have,
Well, the owner is choosing to put these as condominiums, not apartments, so they could be for sale units.
okay, so that's their desire. Okay,
That's the tentative parcel map.
okay, well, thank you.
Sure.
So, Scott, I have a couple questions. Mentioning if they're going to be for sale, do we have any zoning that would protect the neighbors from this becoming for short-term rental residences?
Deputy Mayor and council members, the city doesn't have any short-term rental restrictions that would affect this particular area or this particular use. There are some short-term rental provisions that would affect if there was occupancy above a certain level. I believe they would need to pay their POT, and if there's a certain number of occupants or number of units, which I don't believe this triggers, then they would need a business license. But essentially, there'd be very little regulation under the city's existing zoning regulations for short-term rentals.
Okay, thank you. Also, this property backs up to the parking lot, which is immediately west of the railroad tracks, and so it's going to be right next to the transit center. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, right across the parking lot from the transit center, so they'll get 50 to 100 trains a day there. And is it, is the image that's up there, is that the landscaping? A tree? I mean, I saw all the green that was on the drawings. A single tree is, and not even a palm tree in sight. I mean.
No palm trees. Thank you.
Thank you.
The landscape architect worked extensively with Mr. Grove at the city, and it was difficult even to put the one tree in because of all the different setback requirements for utilities. So we were able to squeeze that one tree in, but the rest of the frontage has so many different feet from certain water lines, sewer lines, and that kind of thing, and the rules don't allow more than that one tree, and that was a tough one to get in all by itself.
Thank you. Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. I want to commend you. I think it looks great as a piece that goes into that area. The other units that are, adjacent to it, actually the whole surrounding area is pretty well built up and not near as nice looking as that. So I disagree with the architectural comment, and I just want to, I'm amazed every time I hear Scott do a presentation. That's a El Camino graduate right there.
Wow. Who knew?
OHS, we are the best.
I have one more question about notifications. So what kind of notifications went out to the community around this property? I got one, and I live like 6 blocks away from a yoga studio at the corner of Wisconsin and South Cleveland that they're changing from a yoga studio to like a yoga Pilates studio. And I didn't understand why I got notification in the mail for that property, but I'm wondering, did people for 1,500 feet get a notification for this, or was that not necessary? The yellow sign was significantly positioned?
Deputy Mayor Lowry, yeah, for this one, they were only required to have the 500-foot owners and the 100-foot occupants. But to answer your question about the yoga Pilates studio, that's a conditional use permit, which requires a 1,500-foot, so the radius was a little larger for that one, so that may be the reason why you're notified.
That would have gone all the way down to the beach based upon going all the way on the other side of Coast Highway, which is where I live. So I'm concerned about what initiates what, but no one in the neighborhood brought up any issues about this?
There's no opposition that I've received, emails or phone calls, no.
Great. Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0. Item number 21 is introduction of an ordinance to amend Article 12, Section 1232 of the Downtown Zoning Ordinance and adoption of a resolution establishing the amended text as part of the implementing documents of the local coastal program to allow row home development on lots 2,500 square feet and larger within Sub-District 9, with the exception of properties fronting along North Coast Highway. Row home development with Sub-District 9, applicant Marion Kyle.
Disclosures?
Open the public hearing. Disclosures.
Disclosures.
Just staff.
Drove by the site.
Staff.
Staff only.
All material has been provided to the council.
Thank you.
All right, good evening.
Scott, welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Lowry, council members, Scott Nightingale from the Planning Division, here to present agenda item 21 for an introduction of an ordinance to amend Article 12, Section 1232E of the Downtown Zoning Ordinance and adopt resolution establishing the amended text as part of the implementing document to the local coastal program to allow small lot development on 2,500 square feet. And the applicant is Marion Kyle. Little synopsis, like I said in the introduction, this is to introduce an ordinance to amend Article 12 of the Downtown Zoning Ordinance, which would be Section 1232E. Also adopt a resolution establishing the amended text as part of the implementing document for the local coastal program to allow row home development on lots 2,500 square feet and larger within Subdistrict 9, with the exceptions of properties fronting along North Coast Highway. Little background, on January 17, 2017, Mary and Kyle, the owner of property located at 522 North Tremont Street, submitted an application to amend Article 1232E to allow row home development on lots 2,500 square feet or larger. Back in July 26, 2017, Downtown Advisory Committee reviewed the proposed amendments and by a vote of 4-3 recommended to permit the row home developments on lots 2,500 square feet or larger within all areas of Subdistrict 9, including properties fronting along North Coast Highway. Staff's recommendation is not consistent with staff's original proposal to prohibit single-family on the portions that front North Coast Highway. North Coast Highway is considered a thoroughfare that welcomes commercial activity, and allowing standalone single-family residential would not be consistent with the purpose and the intent of the downtown zoning ordinance. So with that, staff is recommending that the City Council approve the text amendment to permit the row home developments on lots 2,500 square feet or larger, with the exception of not allowing them on Coast Highway. Here's an image of the sub-district boundary. Sub-district 9 consists of 16 city blocks. They're bordered by Neptune Way to the north, North Freeman to the east, Civic Center Drive to the south, and North Tremont Street to the west. Sub-district 9 is comprised mostly of single-family and multifamily along North Freeman and North Tremont Street, and commercial uses all along North Coast Highway. Over the years, staff has reviewed numerous inquiries regarding proposals for row home and small lot developments within Subdistrict 9, which would be similar to Subdistrict 5, which allows for row home developments on any lot that's 2,500 square feet or larger. Unfortunately, within Subdistrict 9, to construct any type of row home, you need at least 30,000 square feet of frontage. So pretty much almost a block to develop row homes. This image you see here is out of the downtown residential guidelines. They're calling most of Subdistrict 9 the North Beach, I'm sorry, that's the downtown North Subdistrict Beach area, row home development area. So they use this document in the past redevelopment department as an implementing document to allow row homes in this area. So there is actually quite a few row homes that were permitted by the CDC per this document. What we're trying to do today is to allow the row homes, but change the text within the zoning ordinance to basically legalize it and make it legitimate. Finally, the proposed text amendments would be in keeping with the surrounding and existing row homes within the downtown area, and Land Use Policy Section 1.12, Land Use Compatibility. The development of single-family row homes on lots 2,500 square feet or greater would not establish a negative visual impact to the area, because the future existing row homes of the area would be consistent with the bulk scale and density within all of Subdistrict 9. Therefore, staff believes that the draft text amendments would be consistent with the city's general plan and the local coastal program. So when reviewing the proposed amendment, staff reviewed for the following: general plan land use compliance. The text amendments to permit the row homes and the subdivisions and development would continue to achieve a balance of residential land uses for the area. The row home allowance on lots 2,500 square feet or larger would provide a good transition between the existing high density and the single family row homes, which are directly across the street on Tremont. The proposed small lot developments and row home amendments and development would be compatible and appropriate for the area and the location. Also, any future row home development that would come in would be subject to the downtown zoning ordinance per development standards and density. And also, there would be no local coastal impacts with this proposed amendment, no public coastal access impacts, nor would there be public coastal views or public parking. So with that, staff recommends that the City Council introduce an ordinance amending Article 12, Section 1232E of the Downtown Zoning Ordinance, and adopt a resolution establishing the amended text as part of the implementing documents of the local coastal program to allow row home developments on lots 2,500 square feet and larger within Subdistrict 9, with the exceptions of properties fronting along North Coast Highway. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
At this time, the applicant has the opportunity to provide testimony if they choose to do so.
Good evening, council members and deputy mayor and city staff. My name is Marion Kyle. Right now I reside at 1838 South Tremont Street here in Oceanside. I've been a resident of Oceanside for approximately 42 years. And when I bought this property, I made 3 trips down to the city, talking to the development committee, which gave me this booklet, which was that map, and was assured that I could build row homes. And so I went out and started researching row homes that had been approved just to make sure before I purchased the property. So at this time, I plan on living there myself and hope to age in that area. It's convenient for everything for me and for my relatives. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to my civil engineer, Larry Taylor.
Scott, can we get that turned on? You know
I got it.
where the magic button is for that? Good evening, Honorable Deputy Mayor and council members. I'm Larry Taylor with Taylor Group, Inc., 301 Mission Avenue in Oceanside. And as Marion indicated, we are working with her on this project. That is not actually an eye chart, it just looks like one. That shows the boundaries of the Subdistrict 9 that Scott pointed out earlier. The 2 kind of greenish blocks in the upper left are the 2 blocks along North Tremont that have previously been subdivided under the 30,000 square foot minimum development regulation that applies to Subdistrict 9. In other words, you could only subdivide to 2,500 square foot lots if you were doing the entire block at a time. Those were done some time ago. Maybe some of you remember the rationale for that. I don't, but I think it was really to promote kind of get rolling on the row home development. In the middle of that side of the triangle is identified the project site that is Marion's 5,000 square foot site. And then you see the other blocks that are identified on there are what Scott mentioned. There have been a number, at least 4 maps that have been approved that have allowed subdivision of existing 5,000 square foot lots into 2,500 square foot row home lots, contrary to the development restriction that said you can only do 30,000 square feet at a time. And I think that goes along with kind of the history that the redevelopment department had published this book that said it's okay, it's encouraged in this area, and it was done. I don't know that any harm has come of it or anybody is concerned about it. Ultimately, right now, the theory that you could do these 30,000 square foot contiguous blocks is kind of moot. There aren't any. It's unlikely that a developer could come in and cobble together all of the lots in an individual block, because interspersed with this, certainly along Tremont, there has been newer development in the 400 block and the 500 block that, they're unlikely to say, yes, you can tear down our brand new 3-unit condominium project and redo the block. That's unlikely. Along Tremont Street's a little different story. So on Tremont right now, it's about 70% within Subdistrict 9 are row homes or row home lots. About, 10% or so are undeveloped, and the remainder are essentially the older single-family homes and a couple of apartment complexes. So that's what's out there now. I don't see that there's any downside to this. I think at the DAC, at the advisory committee, my impression there appeared to be a little confusion about the proposal of what was going to be allowed and restricted. The idea that row homes would be developed along North Coast Highway, very unlikely. I mean, I wouldn't buy one. And it's clearly in the interest of this whole thing and consistent with what's going on that staff has recommended to exclude that. I guess incidentally now you potentially could, right? If in Subdistrict 9, I don't know if there's a restriction on Coast Highway right now that somebody could come in and buy an entire block and do row homes, but perhaps I'm wrong about that. Anyway, I don't have anything else to add to it. I would encourage you to adopt the resolution and approve the ordinance. It will ultimately lead to more consistency in the area and probably spur a little more development. Thank you.
This is a public hearing item. Any members of the public who wish to speak on this specific item may come forward at this time. Deputy Mayor Lowry, I see none. You can close the public hearing.
Thank you, Clerk. Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. So there have been no comments by the public, members of the public, that this is not consistent with character of the community. This, in fact, is very consistent. Is that correct?
Councilmember Sanchez, no, we haven't had any opposition. We sent out a notice to everybody within the Subdistrict 9 and 1,500 feet outside of it. Yeah.
Right. So basically this change would kind of bring us into compliance because we've already allowed row homes without requiring the whole block, right? So, okay, well, the row home, I remember the row home concept. I don't remember, I think it was just so that it would all look like, one, it would have that much more of an impact. I think that was the whole idea. And perhaps that requirement that you have to do the whole block, because I know one person didn't want to do it across the street, and he still hasn't done it. There was that kind of notion that, well, if we require the whole block, it'll look better. But it's already been done, and it's a nice. It turned out to be a very nice project for Oceanside. So I'm going to go ahead and move that we introduce the ordinance. Thank you.
One second.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. There's probably no chance, I would think that there'd be no chance of fronting row homes on Coast Highway. There's just too much commercial, part of that north area there, where the Wiener Schnitzel is, that's going to be completely built out there. I know the Spanish want to look at the project, the empty lots behind their property at Red and White, and there's lots of other places still left to do this. So you're just cleaning it up is essentially what you're doing, and I appreciate the effort. I think that staff's recommendation is better than somehow allowing these development right on Coast Highway. So that's great. Thanks.
Councilmember Kern.
Thank you. You mentioned this is a 5,000 square foot lot. So she's going to build 2 row homes. Is that correct? I just want to make sure that that's was the case, right?
Councilmember Kern, it's correct. If the amendment goes through, she would process a development plan to do row homes on a 5,000 square foot lot, 2 row homes.
Yeah. And actually, there's only one house that's a potential for a row home. There's one single family home on North Coast Highway that I think is a real estate office now that you potentially could be a row home lot. I don't know how large it is, but I think having it as a commercial zone is much better than having a residential zone. So I think putting this, codifying this, that you, 'cause I don't want anybody coming in and say, wait a second, this is District 9, we can do that. So I think putting that restriction of not allowing North Coast Highway being part of that is a good move, so I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Okay, Scott. I have 8 or 10 questions about this. This change will make a potential or likelihood of building how many row homes in the spaces that we're designating right now? Approximately.
Deputy Mayor Lowry, well, there's a possibility of having row homes within 8 blocks of the 16 blocks. That's subtracting out the 8 that front along North Coast Highway that don't have row homes on there already. So
8 blocks?
8 blocks, true.
And with how many on a block? 12?
Out of 16.
There are 16 on a block?
There's 16 blocks within Subdistrict 9.
Okay. And can we get an approximate total number of how many row homes that would be? Doesn't have to be exact.
I'll have to get back to you on that real quick.
350? 1,200? 72.
Be about 96.
About 96.
Yeah.
Okay. How is it that the applicant had to apply for a change for the whole area rather than just for her property?
Deputy Mayor, she could have applied for just her property, but we felt, given the prior history of the former RDA staff approving these based on the design guidelines, and therefore there was a number of these existing, that we should just clean up the ordinance to reflect prior approvals and what's on the ground, rather than just do one individual lot.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much. Oh, please title the ordinance.
Okay, this is the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Article 12 of the Downtown Zoning Ordinance to allow row home development on lots 2,500 square feet or larger within Subdistrict 9 of the downtown area, with the exception of properties fronting along North Coast Highway.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0. Now I'll move forward to public communication. Kathy Michael.
Clerk, how many more speakers do we have?
6.
Thank you.
Bless you. Bless you.
Kathy,
Honorable Deputy.
I apologize.
No, I
able
was
to take you earlier.
a little late.
That's why
I'll
I'm
be earlier.
apologizing. Yeah.
Dia de los Muertos.
I have a lot, actually. We have 3 more days to buy tickets for Taste of Oceanside, which is this Saturday from 2 to 5. That's our first event. We have over 40 places to go, 29 taste and 11 sip stops. There will be a taste trolley, and there are still some tickets available at tasteofoceanside.com. Please come to our office if you don't want to pay for your ticket online, but we'd love to see you come down to visit our best restaurants, wineries, and breweries in Oceanside. Then the October 14th, we have North County Pride from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Pearview Way, adjacent to City Hall, with live entertainment, booths, activities, and over 100 vendors that day. Information on their website is northcountypride.com. Then getting into the mood of October for our Haunted Market returns again for its 10th year on October 26th, the last Thursday of October. We have our trick or treat starting at 5 until all of our goodies are gone. We have our costume parade at 6. It starts at the stage. We have our blood-curdling scream and evil laugh contest at 8 o'clock. This is a family-friendly event, and we have seen some very creative and fun costumes each year. And every week we have entertainment on our main stage, children's area, ponies, face painting, name art and sculpture, and a bunch of jumpies, of course. Then we also have, throughout October, Main Street Oceanside is bringing back its Shop Local program. Throughout October, shop in the downtown and bring or email your receipts to Main Street Oceanside to enter a drawing each week. For each $50 spent in the downtown, you'll get one raffle ticket. We will have a raffle every week, and that's a receipt for anything, even just a Pepsi. Then we bring the last event, Dia de los Muertos. This is the 17th year for Dia de los Muertos. It started in the downtown by Main Street Oceanside and a lot of volunteers. It was moved to the Mission in 2009. This is a great event. It will be held on October 29th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Mission San Luis Rey. This event celebrates the lives of our loved ones and ancestors. This is a volunteer-driven event to continue the tradition of the event and educate our children about this tradition. With over 40% of North County of Hispanic descent, it is important to educate our children to make sure that their families continue this traditional holiday. The Mission San Luis Rey has been kind enough to assist the volunteer event committee to allow us to have this event each year at this historical site, our King of Missions. We hope that its parishioners and staff are happy with the event attendance and become as happy with that site as I am. We also want to thank Milano Flower Company of Oceanside for their continued support since day one with their donations of flowers to this event. For 17 years, they have provided the marigolds so that the community can make their own altars or ofrendas each year at this event. Last year, we had over 50 ofrendas in car trunks and over 30 ofrendas on the front lawn, so that was fabulous. We also have vendors and activities on site with our live entertainment, opening with the Aztec dancers doing the Copuli, our blessing to Mother Earth, the Rubios dancers, the Diablos, Ballet Folklorico, and the original Dead Dance, which was actually started by our own Oceanside Ballet Folklorico. We are still looking for traditional entertainment, so please go to the website to register. And that goes the same for altars. If you wish to do an altar, please register on the website. And of course, one of our strongest supporters, Por Siempre Car Club, is coordinating our car show that year with over 50 classic cars with trunk altars. They started this tradition and organized it all here at our own Oceanside's Mission San Luis Rey. They are the original implementation of the altars and the cars. And of course, our chalk cemetery, where you can make your own chalk memorial to one of your family friends along the cemetery driveway, a non-denominational cemetery. We hope that you will also visit the beautiful historical church, museum, and gift shop. To park on site, it is $5. However, there is a shuttle from El Camino High School that is free. We do ask that you please do not bring any pets that day because there will be a lot of family there, and we want to preserve the serenity and the grounds of the mission. We also want to thank Oceanside High School and El Camino Spanish clubs for volunteering again every year to assist with this event. We do need volunteers. We need over 100 volunteers that day, so again, please register online. The information for the downtown is on mainstreetoceanside.com, downtownoceanside.com, or if you want tickets for Taste, tasteofoceanside.com. And then for Dia de los Muertos, it's at MSLR for Mission San Luis Rey, diadelosmuertos.com. So we hope to see you at all these events in downtown and in Oceanside. Thank you.
Thank you. You didn't bring any costume or makeup for your face?
I had a couple things to put on, but I thought it'd be distracting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe next time.
Next time.
Yes. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Michael Odegaard and Kelly McCormick.
Bring up the other speaker.
McCormick, why don't you speak right now while we're getting the technical issues addressed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Kelly McCormick, and I'm here to give you an outsider's view of the recent marijuana ad hoc committee meetings. And I say outsider's view because even though I attended and spoke at most of the meetings, it was clear that the ad hoc committee was not asking, is it a good idea to permit pot businesses in Oceanside? They were asking, how do we make it happen? The meetings were not widely advertised to the larger community. Some of the meeting times were changed midway through the process without being changed on the city's website, and none of the invited speakers represented law enforcement or people on the front lines of youth access and drug prevention. Except for two state officials who spoke on banking, finance, and taxation, all of the invited speakers came directly from the pot industry or were users of marijuana. In other words, all had a vested financial or personal interest in expanding the pot marketplace in Oceanside. The speakers included the lab director for a cannabis testing facility, a grower, a distributor, the owner of a delivery business already permitted in the city, a director of a potential pot collective, a Los Angeles dispensary owner, a person who manufactures high THC chocolate bars, and many others. Are you seeing a pattern? There also were people who shared stories of using marijuana for medical purposes, and my heart really does go out to them. But let's keep in mind that they already have access. They can get on the phone and have it delivered to their home by a permitted delivery company. I urge the City Council to take a serious look at the unintended consequences of an expanded pot landscape. These include increases in crimes such as burglary, theft, sexual assault, and drugged driving. The increase in children and teens who end up in the hospital largely due to overconsumption of edibles and concentrates. The documented increases in transient populations where marijuana is easily obtainable. Just take a look at Colorado. And the difficulty in actually collecting the taxes that have so many people turn a blind eye to the above problems. Let's remember it's a cash business and it's against federal law, and there aren't nearly enough forensic auditors to find all of the money, even if you had a big enough budget to pay them. So please take an unbiased look at the whole picture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Odegaard?
Good evening, honorable council members. My name is Michael Odegaard. I'm son of Mona Mertens, owner of Vine Street Apartments, a native Hawaiian-owned and operated affordable housing apartment community very close by here in coastal Oceanside. I wanted to share some good news that we're 10 days counting from going green. We will be the first apartment community in Oceanside to go fully solar. And we'll be saving the atmosphere 45 tons of added carbon dioxide every year. So we just wanted to notify you on, this is actually almost the year anniversary since I last spoke to you. Last time I spoke to you, we were reviewing a project that unfortunately was approved adjacent to our property that eliminates the only recreational land use in our neighborhood. There is no other park within walking distance over of a half a mile from our area. Nevertheless, we went ahead and showed you what our vision. By the way, I should also say I'm also the chairman of the Canyon Park Neighborhood Association. That's a name that we've changed from Vine Street Neighborhood Association to reflect our vision. Nevertheless, I wanted to give you an update of what happened after that event. The developer of the project that was approved approached us afterward, and he actually said that he thought that we had a better idea of doing a smart growth project that preserved a park for our neighborhood. And so he approached me, and we got together with some paper, and we sketched out an alternative that saved 4-acre park and then condensed the approved 58 units on the 2-acre lower pad of the parcel. And we presented this to the Oceanside Women's Club, and they loved the idea, and included in this would be the formalization of a lot of activities that happened informally by our kids and people in the community, including a community garden, a small gazebo, a staging area for hikes into the Arroyo, a tennis club, a tot lot with picnic area, and a large play field, which is very, very important to our neighborhood. We made sure that we designed the park sensitively to work with a luxury grade condo project. And we made sure also that this wouldn't block any views of any of the residents who lived on the adjacent hill. And it turned out that the developer said that if I got the support of the neighbors around it, he would move forward with the design development. And we got actually 95% support, including the promise to pay for the maintenance of the park. However, unfortunately, last December, he pulled the plug on the project. Since my time is over now, I'll pick it up at next council meeting. Thank you much for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speakers are Peggy Walker and Michelle McKechnie.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. My name is Peggy Walker, and I am here.
Peggy, would you pull the microphone down? We're recording the meeting, or it's being broadcast and recorded. Yeah.
Is that better?
That is better. Thank you.
Thank you. I am here too because I noticed that the Marijuana Ad Hoc Committee seems heavily weighted towards the pot industry, and I wanted to express an opposition opinion. I would urge a ban on all commercial pot activities. Since deliveries are available, the Medipop patient population is certainly served. I've worked in tobacco use prevention education for 20 years. It took us 50 years to educate the public on the harms of tobacco. My recurrent nightmare is that it's going to take 50 more years to educate the public on the harmfulness of pot. Expert public policy makers refer to pot as a vice industry, like tobacco, alcohol, and gambling. And like these industries, pot presents an intractable problem, a direct conflict of interest between those trying to prevent initiation, dependency, and addiction, those in the public health arena like myself, and a profit-based industry that relies on finding heavy users and creating as many new ones as possible, including youth. The difference between pot and tobacco is that tobacco, for example, doesn't result in the user becoming paranoid, disoriented, agitated, or cause them to suffer hallucinations, psychotic breaks. It doesn't result in dangerous behaviors, IQ loss, or the loss of coordination resulting in DUIs. Toddlers are not admitted to ERs from ingesting tobacco edibles, nor do they drown in pools because their parents were too stoned to watch them. I urge you, please, please, please do the research. Hundreds of articles cross my desk every month. This industry targets of populations that public officials should be working to protect. And not one professional medical organization endorses pot in smoked or edible form. Unfortunately, the pot industry is heavily funded and can afford to back and endorse political candidates, hire highly paid lobbyists and lawyers, and fund expensive ballot initiatives to push their addictive products, things that the opposition, like myself and the general public, cannot afford to do. Yet, for all their strategies, they cannot counteract the science-based facts that are emerging. The research that tells us that pot has the toxins, the carcinogens, the pesticides, the fungus, and the bacteria that portend great harm. Thank you for giving your serious consideration to this.
Thank you.
Hello, council members, Deputy Mayor. My name is Michelle McKechnie. I am the co-operator of 420 Central Delivery at Oceanside. I am the co-operator of the first licensed delivery here in Oceanside, and I'm going to ask you to do the opposite of what the last two speakers have asked, and I'm going to ask you to adopt the resolutions that the Medical Marijuana Ad Hoc Committee are going to be presenting to you in the next month. There are a number of reasons. Obviously, many of them are personal because I am in the industry, ladies and gentlemen, but also because I've heard thousands of stories of people who have found relief and have only found relief through this medicine. They've exhausted every form of medicine their doctor has prescribed for them with all the side effects that come along with it. And yet they find cannabis helps them. But that's not the real reason why you should be focused or adopt this resolution. The real reason is because the voters have voted that they want medical cannabis and they want recreational cannabis. Whether you agree with it personally or not is not the issue. Our issue is to be able to do it in a safe and regulated manner. Let's turn the spotlight on it. Why hide from the issue? Why allow the black market? Why allow criminals to control this industry? We have, the only reason why the industry leaders were here is because we do have a loud voice to be heard. We do believe so strongly in what this can do for our city, what it can do for the people of Oceanside, what it can do for our veterans. And more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we all need to do it together. We need to build bridges. We need to make sure that our farmers have an opportunity to diversify so that they can have a viability in this market. We need to give our producers who have been producing this industry an opportunity to manufacture here so that they can become proud of what they've done and make Oceanside proud of the products that they produce. And more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, as been mentioned, yes, you do have a licensed delivery in Oceanside, but for any patient, they know that there's a huge difference between deliveries and dispensaries. Deliveries, ladies and gentlemen, deliver something that you've already decided you need. Dispensaries educate. It's not that you can't do it during deliveries, you just don't have time, ladies and gentlemen. And more importantly, the support that you get when you go into a dispensary is so invaluable, especially for a parent who's trying to figure out what cannabis oil they should give to their child because they're so fearful of what the side effects might be, and they have 10 other parents that can tell them exactly what they've tried and what works for them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so important that we provide the support for them, and not only that, we provide the support for your people of Oceanside, for the citizens. It's not going to be an industry that's going to be on every corner, especially not if you adopt the resolutions. If you wait for the initiative to come across the ballot, which it will next November, you're not going to have a say in it. And there could be dispensaries in every single part of your city, and there could be manufacturers in every part of the city. What we need to do is get smart about it, regulate it, put the spotlight on it, and let's work together to make this a safe, regulated industry. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Sheila Cada and Tom DeMoy.
Here we go.
Sheila Cada, 1092 Greenway Road, Oceanside. I want to talk about SOARS, the open spaces thing. There's something that hasn't been brought up, and that's this. Morrill Hill should not be built on. It shouldn't be overbuilt on us because it is one of the 7 places in the world you can grow anything. It is on the farmer's map of the world. And as elected officials, I think you should be cognitive of something like this and work very hard to save something like this, because there's only 7 places in the world that are like Morrill Hills, and Morrill Hills is one of them. It's imperative that we work to save something like that and not put asphalt and cement and 900 homes on something like that. We need to save it and protect it. That's all I got to say. Bye.
Thank you. Carry on.
Is Tom DeMoy still here? No. Okay, then we'll move to our final speaker, Francis Kozierski.
Hello, Deputy Mayor Charles Lowry and members of the City Council. October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and as you probably heard on the news, Julia Dreyfus, who's a co-star of the Jerry Seinfeld series, has now been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she brought up the fact that she's one of 8 women in America that has come down with breast cancer. So I'm asking for your prayers for Julia Dreyfus of the Seinfeld series. If you know of anybody in your neighborhood here in Oceanside that has battled with breast cancer and is a breast cancer survivor, or unfortunately has lost their life through breast cancer, I'm asking the City Council, as individuals, not as a council, to remember them this Friday on Shabbat, which is typically the Sabbath day, at 6:30, and light a candle in their memory. Anyway, this breast cancer issue really comes close to home. I got the news that someone very dear to my household came down with breast cancer. Unfortunately, she has passed away May 31st of 2013. She was my wife, Amparo Kozierski, who was an Oceanside resident since 1991. Amparo lived a healthy lifestyle. She was always into food and nutrition. And in fact, I figured she was going to outlive all of us. But I got the news on Flag Day, June 14th, that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was admitted to the John Moore Cancer Clinic in UCSD La Jolla, had a lumpectomy, and then chose to go with alternative therapies. She would not take radiation or chemotherapy because she said it was like putting poison in her body. But anyway, God allowed her to live 4 more years after her diagnosis and after her lumpectomy, using alternative medicine. But she passed away May 31 of 2013. So anyway, this Friday, in memory of Amparo, at 6:30, if you'd like to light a candle. She was an Oceanside resident since 1991. But if you know of anybody that's passed away through breast cancer, or even someone that's battling breast cancer now as I speak, who's an Oceanside resident, remember, October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I ask you to remember those people by lighting a candle in their memory. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Lowry, there's no more items on the agenda. One request, personally, as we adjourn the meeting, can we have a moment of silence for the victims in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, any council member comments, personal, public? Nothing? Nothing. Okay, so on Saturday, October 7th, that's coming right up, 1 p.m. in the Oceanside Downtown Library Community Rooms. Jarabe Mexicano is presenting a live world music concert. It's totally free. The parking's free. You walk on in. It's free to get in. Excellent professional musicians, and that is starting at 1 o'clock. And my experience has been that these concerts supported by the library have plenty of seats, and you need to get there at 1 because they start about 2 minutes after 1. So anyway, that is this Saturday, October 7th at 1 p.m., and I turn it over to you.
Yes, if we could all just stand for a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much.
That concludes the meeting. Our next meeting is Wednesday, October 18th, 3:30 p.m., 5 o'clock for you. Thank you for attending.